This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day. And then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to the Crazy Life, everyone. My name's Jen, and I am your hostess for the evening. And with me, we have Brian. Yay!
Howdy.
Hanno's missing. Hanno is just having way too much fun in life right now, which I, of course, and Brian, of course, we do not want to hold that back from him because
don't talk for me. No.
Because, of course, we love you, Hanno, and we want you to be happy.
Right. Ish.
So. Happy-ish. That's right, because we don't believe in happy.
Well, we need him just, we can't just have him coming on here all the time being sunshine and lollipops, We got to have something to gripe about.
Oh, we're all human, so we always will have something to gripe about.
Yeah.
So how have you been? What's been going on?
Not a whole bunch. Things are feeling like they're getting back to normal here. My mom's over the last week, she's been driving a decent amount. Nothing crazy, just mostly grocery store right around here type stuff. But it's it's nice to kind of feel that normality again in that, and she seems to be doing okay overall. So and she's got a doctor's appointment in a few weeks, so she has to wait to see what the next steps for her are. But
right.
I had a dental appointment yesterday, and they take a few x-rays. I'm sitting there waiting. The dentist shows up, and she's like, I'm really sorry, but she's like, before I do the exam, I want to have the complete set of x-rays. And she's like, and I guess like insurance only pays for them like once every 5 years, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, and you're 2 weeks away from yours. So, of course, the insurance won't go, it's 2 weeks. That's cool. No, It has to be after that 2 weeks. So she's like, I can't even do the exam because if I start to do the exam, they won't pay for the rest of the x-rays. She's like, I'm so sorry. But she's like, we're just going to have you come back in a couple weeks, do the rest of the x-rays, and then we'll do the exam. And I was like, that's fine. It is and it isn't, because I have to deal with a lot of anxiety before appointments and stuff. But I understand. It's not, I guess they probably could have seen it if they checked those things, but I'm not mad about it, It's just an oversight somewhere. But it is really dumb that the insurance company can't go, it's 2 weeks, go ahead,
right.
But they won't, so whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And luckily, I've always been pretty good about going to the dentist anyway. I'm not a real high anxiety about, like, I am more, like if I'm getting fillings or something like that, to where there's going to be work done, or like when I had teeth extracted, my wisdom teeth out or something, But for normal stuff like exams and cleanings, it's like, whatever, that's just normal stuff. So, I felt so bad. There was a guy there that I think was having a panic attack. Because I heard him kind of freaking out, and I heard them trying, one of the assistants there was really trying to talk with him and calm him and stuff. It's like, I feel so bad for this guy, because it stinks that anyone feels this way, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It really is too bad almost that you can't just come in and they can't just, you know, here's a little something to, you know, for people like that are anxious. I know they can, depending on what they're doing, you know, like if they're going to do something like pull a tooth or something, they can get your doctor to prescribe a little something, and, you know, but I just felt bad for the guy because, you know, I've been there. It's no fun. So yeah, that was a good time. And, you know, it's funny, like I get in there and there's this, you know, I haven't been in there since before COVID, because my last dental appointment was scheduled the March that everything shut down.
Oh, gotcha.
And then, you know, I waited a long time, and then I put it off because of anxiety, and it's finally I'm getting in there, you know. So, but it was like, oh, we need you to, you know, update all your stuff, and I'm like, nothing has changed. Well, we need you to fill out I'm like, why if nothing has changed? Like, why doesn't your system just have, like, why can't you just go, has anything changed, or print out a thing and have me look it over and just sign it?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed, you know. Instead, I got to sit there for 10 minutes filling out a packet. You know, it's like, you know. Also, why don't you have these things available on your website for me to either do electronically or download and print out, so that I can have it done ahead of time? So when I walk in, it's done, you know. But whatever. I know, you know, things take the time they take and all this stuff, but it just, you know, inefficiency bothers me. And this is it. I understand why they have to have you fill the stuff back out. I do, because that way you make the mistake, not them, basically, as far as entering or, you know, information goes. But you know, like I said, it's like, I don't know why I can't just go, nothing has changed. Here's my new insurance card. You know, because you know, every year I get a new insurance card. It's like, here's my new insurance card. Here's my new ID, because the last time I was here, it was a different ID, I guess, you know. So okay, fine. Here's those, you know. They scan those real quick, and that's it. That should be the end of it.
Red tape everywhere. You know that.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, it isn't that you really mind it, but it's also like, why do I have to keep doing this? This seems stupid. I'm sure there's a real reason. I'm sure I can find out from somebody. I just don't really care that much. And it's not like I raise a big stink about it. I'm just, you know, I do different times go, nothing has changed. Well, we still need you to fill. It's like, okay, you know, like I know you're doing your job. I can't, you know, but still frustrating. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So that was, you know, that was no big deal. It was funny though. It was like after that, I needed to get some blood drawn for another doctor. And in that same building, you know, they've got a lab, and I go down, like on the way out, I go to the desk and I'm like, hey, can I go back to the lab? I need some blood drawn. The woman's like, well, you really need to make an appointment. And I'm just like, lady, I don't drive. I'm here. You know, it's like, again, I know you're just doing your job, but also don't give me the attitude with it. Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like. Do
you go to the place on Secor by chance?
No, I go to the place I have forever.
Up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And, you know, and I know what it is they want to make sure they can put the info in there and run it past your insurance to make sure it'll be paid for. That's the only reason. They don't care otherwise. It's not about, oh, hey, they're so busy back there. Because I walk back there and the phlebotomist is seriously just on her Instagram. Like, because she told me, because I was like, you know, are you busy? And she goes, no. She's like, I'm just scrolling Instagram. Like, and it takes like 2 minutes to put it in. The insurance approves it like right away, and it's done. You know, it's like, I was like, geez, you know, it's like I get why again, but it's also like, why are you making a fuss over this when it really isn't a fuss? So yeah, like 5 minutes later, I'm walking out the door. You know, like that's how fast it was. You know, she boom, she's in and out with the stuff because she's really good, and out the door. You know. So, but, whatever. It's, like I said, just things that annoy you, but it really, in the grand scheme, it's like, whatever, you know, there's way bigger fish to fry, but, you know.
There's actually a show on Netflix that you need to check out. It's called, I think it's like You Don't See Me.
Oh, You Can't See Me, I think it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
You Can't See Me. And it's not English. So it's a foreign language for us.
Okay.
So I'm not sure where it originated.
Okay.
But it's like a 8-episode series, I think, on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's about they don't use the word angel, but it basically is the same concept, that there's these groups of angels that go down to Earth and protect their human, but they have very distinctive rules. And they end up, a new one is created after like 3,000 years or something like that. They finally get a new guy on the job, and the new guy asks a lot of questions and starts to interrupt. He's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. And everyone had, up to this point, had just taken for granted that this is what you do. This is the job you do. And they don't think about anything else.
Right.
So it becomes quite interesting. And it's a comedy. So, you're just kind of like laughing at the absurdities and these things that people just take for granted and just accept because this is the way it is.
Right.
And it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. I'm looking for it because I know I saw it the other day, but now I can't seem to find it. So I think the name, you might have been right with the name before or something, but I don't see it listed at all now.
Yeah, I'll have to.
Well, because there was even, like, there's a site that I go to that shows everything that was just added to Netflix, basically. Mm-hmm. And it was in there the other day, and I don't see it now.
Well, let me see if I'll pull it up real quick.
That's really
Sorry,
weird.
folks, we're just taking a little time out here, obviously.
That's very strange. Because like I said, I remember seeing the other day because I didn't know what it was.
Nobody's Looking.
Oh, okay.
There you go, folks. For everyone out there. Nobody's Looking on Netflix.
There we go.
Very, very entertaining. And it gives you the fun of what happens when you question the way things always have been.
Right. It's Brazilian. There you go.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. That was why I was looking for it, mostly. I was going to add it to my queue, but also I was like, well, I'll just, I can also go, oh, it's this language, but I couldn't find it because I was looking for the wrong thing. Yeah,
and it's, they do a really nice job with voiceover and, basically dubbing and, closed captioning.
Yeah, which is, I pretty much watch everything with closed captioning now. Because of the volume, the way that things are said in shows. There's so many shows where it's just like, the sound effects are crazy loud, and it's because I don't have a sound bar to do that right or whatever. But, also, late at night if I'm watching something, I don't want to have the TV cranked up so I can hear the dialogue,
Yeah, right.
So also, I went to a lot of rock concerts when I was a kid, so,
I wasn't going to mention it.
Oh, no, I know that, and, every time I cut the grass, I had rock music blaring in my ears over the top of the lawnmower noise. And,
right.
I've not treated my ears with the respect they deserve. I know I can't hear as well as I used to, I can still hear fairly well, but there's definitely times where I'm like, what'd they say? Cause like somebody's kind of mumbly, I can't pick it up, So, yeah, that's why I just do that. It's funny, though. We talked about this on Salty Language. Garrett, that
yes,
was telling us that apparently closed captioning will straight out, spoil things, though, because they'll identify a character, and maybe you don't know that they're that character later or something to that effect. And I was like, really? And, this is a spoiler just in case, but it's like, for Usual Suspects. I mean, the movie's from, the late 80s or early 90s.
Yeah.
But, the Kaiser Soze character, it tells you who it is, immediately. Mm-hmm. Like, the first time the guy's on the screen, it says Kaiser Soze.
Oh.
And in the movie, they don't reveal it until the very end of the movie.
Right.
So, I was like, oh man, but I guess it does that it's done that in other movies and stuff too. So there is always that risk that, But, I can't help it. I need to do it. I'll even say this, like, even when I watch wrestling, I have closed captioning on, and it's funny sometimes because of the captions that pop up for wrestler names or the moves, or some of them are so far off that, I'm like, well, you can tell whoever's captioning this doesn't watch wrestling, because they don't know what a tope suicida is or whatever. They don't even have a clue.
Nice.
Because it'll say like toupee something, and it's like, nope. I believe.
Try.
Because a tope suicida is when they dive between the ropes
gotcha.
out of the ring at somebody. So it's basically a suicide dive is what it is, essentially is what it's called. And it's called that because, you could get hung up on the rope.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. And those ropes are, depending on where you're at, they're either a rope or they're like a steel elevator cable wrapped in tape, basically. So they can do some bad things to you,
Very true.
But, yeah. So, okay, I'll have to give that a go after I got a couple other things. Like, I got to finish Sandman, and there was something else I wanted to watch. I don't remember what it is. I probably won't remember, and then I'll just start watching something else. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But anyway, I haven't really done much else. One thing that's interesting is with my mom feeling the way she has, she has some plants outside that are, like tomato plants, that kind of stuff. And I've pretty much been the one going outside every day, watering them and picking, what's ready to come off of there. And it's interesting because, how much I love doing that. And, but it is interesting that I can see where there's that, even though it's only 5 minutes or so, I can see where people find their zen kind of doing that because you really kind of focus on what you're doing for that short amount of time,
Oh,
so,
for sure.
I still don't.
Nice and relaxing.
Yeah, I still don't love doing it. Well, I mean, it's not so bad now that it's not as hot and humid.
Right, right.
On those days when it was, 90 plus and like 90-degree humidity, oh boy. I wanted to get out of that as quick as I could, but last couple days have been nice. So, it's interesting. I've been trying to, like when I go out there, I have my phone on me just in case, my mom has, a need for me or something, but I'm not standing out there like looking at my phone while I'm doing it. I'm just kind of focusing on what I'm doing for that 5 or 10 minutes, So, and it's, it's been kind of interesting watching, like as silly as it sounds, watching as one of our green pepper plants also can produce, like if you leave the green peppers on long enough, they become red. And watching one of them as it's turning red and, seeing the tomatoes go from green to like a nice bright red to bringing them inside and, putting them on a BLT and remembering how good a real tomato tastes versus a hothouse tomato, or, how weird it is when you grow green peppers, how there's almost like a floral smell to them when you first get into them, that you don't seem to have in the stores. I don't know if like pesticides kill that off or what, but there's just a little different smell to them, and they taste, different. So, there is that. I get where people get their zen and that a little of that pride from like, I grew this, even though you really didn't do much, you just put some water on it. But,
right.
Yeah. It's not the same as like raising a kid,
True.
Where you're actually putting some effort into it. I mean, this is sprinkling some water on a thing for a few minutes a day and then, bragging to all your friends about how great you are.
Right.
Anyway, so that's been it for me pretty much.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I'm actually seeing someone who has an orchard. And on his property, and there are lots of deer that do enjoy lunch at his orchard.
Yeah.
But he's still hopeful because it's the first year that he's owned it. They didn't get a chance to put fertilizer or anything on them, but so far he's really hopeful that he'll be able to get some of the higher apples and peaches, and then I guess there's a plum and some Concord grapes. And pears. So so he's got quite the collection of fruit trees that are very active. So
cool.
I'm looking so forward to having a fresh peach off a tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never done it before. I've had them before after they've been picked and they have the stem still on them.
Oh,
I've had them before that way, which I'm sure is as close as I'm going to get, a farmer's market type of thing. But still, right off a tree, it's got to be amazing.
Yeah. My sister brought some over that someone that she works with, pulled off of her tree, and they're real small ones. They're golf ball size, maybe a bit bigger. They're real small,
Gotcha.
Literally, if it wasn't for having a pit, you could just, just bite right into it. But with the size they are, there's a good chance you're going to hit pit with your teeth. So, it's better to slice them a little bit or whatever. But she brought a couple of those over and I had one of those and, it was so juicy. It was so good, cause she had just gotten them off her tree like the day before. So they were still really nice. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's like, it's funny though, cause as much as I love apples, like I have no want to go pick them.
Yes.
I know a lot of people love to pick them off I could care less. I could not care less about it. Just, I'm just as happy to just go in. Oh, look, they're already picked and just put them in a bag and take off.
Right.
So, yeah. But I get it. I get it with stuff like peaches and stuff though, cause the freshness of those is different. Like I was just saying with tomatoes and stuff, there's some things that when you get them like right at that peak, it's amazing versus by the time they hit like the store, they're a few days old and they're already on the decline essentially, or they were picked too early or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that because, I made a pretty heavy duty threat that, things would not go well for him if he didn't bring me some fresh peaches.
Right.
So we'll see if this works in my favor.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I've got that going on. I've got a new girlfriend that I met through one of the organizations I'm in, and we went out, or I went to her place for drinks on Thursday and just had an amazing time. I had so much fun, and it just reminded me because I have a few wonderful, wonderful women friends, but not many.
Yeah.
I'm usually have more guy friends than I do, women in my life. But, yeah, we have a lot in common. So I think this is going to be good.
Cool.
I really, like the direction things are going, just hanging out and stuff, it's just fun to have a female friend, another female friend in my life for sure. So, it was interesting because she did gift me a pair of shoes. I believe they're Steve Madden's. She got them at Goodwill, so it's, not like super money folks.
Right.
But they have, I believe it's at least a 3-inch heel.
Oh boy, that's too much
if
for
not
you.
Higher.
That's way too much for you. You need negative heel.
That is the reason I mentioned it, is because I knew we'd have some laughs over this.
Yeah.
I did put them on.
Yeah.
And they do have an ankle strap.
Okay.
So,
that's good.
I'm
yeah.
locked in. So I won't break my ankle, I'll just break my knee.
Right.
But
that's fine. Yeah. That's all right. Knees are easy to repair, so.
Yeah. But I did take a few steps in it, and she was laughing, and I'm like, I've never walked in anything this high.
Right.
I said, I seriously feel like I'm on stilts.
Yeah.
And with my bad ankle, it doesn't adjust right. I don't trust it in these shoes.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah, so they don't fit her at all. So I ended up taking them, and I may practice around my apartment a bit and see if I can wear them, because they're black with black studs all over them, and yeah, they're really, really cute shoes.
Make sure if you're gonna do that you move anything that you could fall and hit your face on, like a coffee table, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because,
I know. I am not known for my gracefulness.
No, I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just being serious. There's a lot of people that do stuff like that and don't move things out of the way and either destroy a table or their face on the table.
Well, the funniest part about it is with the ankle strap, you think it would make you feel more secure, like the shoe will stay on.
Yeah.
But instead, with my bad ankle, I'm like, if my ankle gives,
I appreciate that you almost called it the bankle.
if my ankle twists, I am going to seriously break something in these shoes.
Right.
Yeah. So we will see. If I ever wear them, it definitely would be at a place that I'll be sitting most of the time.
Yeah.
So, because I can't imagine walking very far in these.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't think so. That seems like a bad idea, no matter what.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And then I went to actually to Goodwill on a little Goodwill shopping spree. I hadn't been to the big one that was near me, so I went over there and literally scrubbed it, top to down. So I looked at everything possible in my size.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the trying room 3 times.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was very successful. For $30, I got 2 dresses and a top, a pair of full jeans with crystal pockets in the back, and a blue jean skirt, and a belt for $30.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right. 2 dresses and a top.
Nice.
Yeah. Would normally be a dress, but yeah, it needs to be a top on me.
Fair enough.
I'm like, oh, this is for one of those teenage girls. But yeah, so that's going on, and work's going really well. We are actually fairly interested in what's going on with the union strikes for the railroad. We still have about 30 days left before the absolute cutoff of all of the negotiation and, cooling off periods and everything like that. So it'll probably be about mid-September or so before there's any real decision on if they are going to strike or if they are conceding and working something out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But this has happened over the last few years. And they've always kind of given in and let the railroad have their way. Mm. So there's more pressure for the union to stay firm this year.
Right.
Plus, with everything that went on last year and the year before, nothing has been really done about increases. And so, I mean, they've got some really strong, legitimate arguments, the union does. But so does the railroad. So it's going to be interesting to see what ends up happening.
Yeah.
For those that haven't put 2 and 2 together, I work with the railroads. I don't work for them, but I do work with them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it's directly affecting my work life. Nothing too bad right now, but we're just doing some preemptive planning and just seeing what we can do before if that would ever happen.
Yeah, sure. That's a smart move by mm-hmm. the company you work for, because you got to figure out how you pivot if things shut down,
Yes. Yeah, and even if they, I mean, I can't see any reason or way they can't make some sort of agreement, because literally shutting down the railroad system, it would cripple our country. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We think things are bad now with selection at the grocery stores.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it'd be really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Just everything, and we transport grain. So
yeah, I know. Yeah, that's
mm-hmm.
that's why I said it's like either like you just said. It's like there's no way that I'm curious because mm-hmm. My brother works for the post office and they can't strike.
Mm-hmm.
They have to work because that's a necessary system. So
are they private or public?
I don't remember, but no, the reason that they can't though is because mm-hmm. it affects it's too drastic of an effect if they don't, because, not as much as it used to be, but, people used to get checks, from Social Security and welfare and different stuff. So it literally would cripple people if they didn't get their mail. So it's interesting because this is a very similar thing. And like you said, I know it makes a difference public and private, but it is still interesting because of the effect it could have on the country. That I'm a little surprised that there isn't something that's like, hey, we can't shut this down. Yeah. We absolutely can't let this shut down, cause this will significantly harm everyone. So, yes. But that is part of their leverage as well,
Correct.
So,
and the government is involved right now.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Yeah. Cause they for sure don't want it to happen. Yeah. They don't want it to happen at all.
Yeah. They have a mediator working with the railroad and the union. It's a whole panel.
Yeah.
To give their suggestions and the hopes that we can come to a happy agreement with everyone.
Yeah, I would hope so because, like I said, it's that's bad news otherwise.
Yeah, and the only other thing that's been going on is I'm finally at that stage of my new medicine that I've plateaued, and now it's starting to get a little on the shaky side. So we will see. I usually take a medicine for 6 months or so minimum.
Yeah.
Because this is traditionally what happens is that you start off really strong and you feel amazing. Mm-hmm. Then after it builds up in your system, then you can, you'll start to plateau a bit. And then once it's, completely, once you're connected to it, then it'll start not working quite as effectively. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily the medicine. It's like your body also adjusting to it.
Yeah. Well, and part of it's you just get used to it, right? It's kind of like building up a callus over, like when you first, hit your finger on something, you're like, oh, that hurts. After you do it 100 times, the same thing. It's like, oh, I didn't even feel it. Like you see chefs on cooking shows grab things with their bare hands.
Yeah, heat and stuff, yeah.
Meanwhile, if my hand gets anywhere near it, I'm like, whoa, that's hot,
Yeah, and that's really what it is. There's building up a tolerance. There's, all this stuff that comes into play.
Yeah.
But that's why I highly recommend always giving a medicine 6 months unless it's having severe adverse side effects.
Yeah, of course.
And any side effects whatsoever that you may experience, of course, please always call the doctor right away.
Yeah.
So... just to be safe. But if you can, I definitely recommend hanging out with a medicine for 6 months before understanding or making the final decision whether it's good for you or not.
Well, and also talk to your doctor too, because you can find out if the effects you're having are the desired effects or if they're not. Like I learned with the first antidepressant I was on, I thought what I was dealing with was the desired effect, and it wasn't. I was just zombie mode all the time. And had I told my doctor, he would have been like, oh no, let's change. Like, this isn't what you want,
Yes.
So, definitely keep your doctors.
Open, candid communication.
Yep. Yeah. Ultimately it's your decision to make, but definitely, at least have the conversation with your psychiatrist or your, primary care or whoever it is your medicines are through,
And never, and I mean never, and if I need to say it again, never go off a medicine without talking to your doctor first.
You're not kidding.
And you will be tempted. Mm-hmm. And you will be tempted again. And you will slip and be tempted so great to go, just, take it today. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I've done it. Brian's done it for various reasons. Don't do it. It's bad. You feel awful. I guarantee you.
Yeah. The withdrawal effects of some of the medicines can be severe. So, like the one that I went off of, I had really bad brain zaps. You know, it made me really irritable. I don't remember what else, but there's a good list of things that for a good, I don't remember how long I was miserable because of it. So, you know, if you can, you know, like my situation, I couldn't help it. I had no insurance.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't afford I think a $500 or $600 a month medicine. So, you know,
Right.
but you know, if you can help it, please don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that was our PSA for the night. No, I have noticed that I'm having more variations in my my mental attitude. I'm getting more anxious. I'm starting to spin more dramatically each way than I normally would.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm getting like super, super excited, then I'm getting like super, super anxious, and you know, so I'm spinning a little out of control. I'm not out of control or anything crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling the swings more and having a harder time balancing between them.
Right.
So this can happen. I'm not concerned. I'm not too crazy about it. As of right now, I have my next appointment with my psychiatrist in 2 weeks. So that'll be helpful because we'll talk about this.
Yep.
In the meantime, I'm keeping my social activities to medium to light. I'm trying to kind of focus a little bit more on being calm, not doing too much, not overbooking myself, just kind of sitting in it and letting everything settle down.
Yeah.
Cutting back on the caffeine, cutting back on the sugar, anything that can cause me to have these anxieties and these like swings. Just to kind of help get myself balanced again. And then once I'm balanced, I can always add more back into things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, you know, it's constant, folks. I mean, I've been dealing with bipolar, well, my entire life, but diagnosed for going on 10 years now.
Yeah.
Is when I got diagnosed and started on a medicine regime. And I still don't got it. I'm pretty damn successful, I would say. You know, I'm pretty proud that I can hold it together like I do.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate I have the support system to help me that a lot of people don't. So I know I'm very fortunate, as I've mentioned before on the show. But 10 years, and there's no answer.
Right.
There's no take the green pill in the morning, blue pill at night, and the red at lunch, and everything's perfect.
Right.
There just doesn't exist.
Right.
You can be on a medicine for a while, then all of a sudden it's no longer working for you.
Right.
So then you got to switch to something else and try something else. And sometimes it's a combo, sometimes it's a single. You know, it sucks. But if the medicinal path is the one you've chosen, it's not an easy one, like some people think. They think you just pop a pill and everything goes away. It's not. But for me, it has been the most successful.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's one of those things people think how easy it is. Like, oh, you just pop a pill. I'm like, no, you don't get it.
Yeah. Be nice if that was all it was, you know. People don't understand. That's like saying that you build a house with just a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, you just hammer a couple nails. It's like, no, there's a little more to it than that.
Yeah. I mean, a few people are very lucky. And the first time they take a medicine, it works, and they're on it for the rest of their lives, and everybody's happy. Yeah. It does happen.
Yeah.
It's just not very often that it happens.
Yeah. Well, and especially, you know, there's all sorts of people that have, you know, that are resistant, like drug resistant depression.
Mm-hmm.
And bipolar is, you know, a fickle thing that kind of twists and turns. It's not, you know, like I said, it's such a free swinging pendulum that it, you know, it's tough for one thing to really hold that pendulum still for very long. It wants to keep swinging wildly, you know, so it's tough sometimes, I'm sure.
It is. It is very tough.
Yeah. Like you said before, though, it's just understanding that mental health stuff is not. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. It's a long, long run. So you typically are not going to just, oh, I did this and now I'm 100%. It's there's still, even when you find good treatment, there's still ups and downs. Like I feel overall like I feel like I'm in a pretty good place, but I still hit pretty deep pits, from time to time, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that, you've done something wrong or you're losing or any of that stuff. It just means that, in the, arm wrestling match that you're in, once in a while, the arm starts tipping the other way on you. You keep pulling to pull it back your way. It's not easy, but it's what you kind of have to do.
I tell you, and I can't speak highly enough about surrounding yourself with people who are honest and care for you.
Yeah.
And when they see things that are not adding up, they'll mention it.
Yeah.
And tell them to mention it. Say, hey, if I'm seeming like I'm going too passionate one way or another about subjects, or if I'm a little more volatile than usual, tell me. I need to know this. Because a lot of times I can catch it, sometimes I cannot.
Yeah.
And by the time I've catched it, it's usually longer than I would like it to be.
Yeah.
And other people had already started noticing.
Right.
It's like, oh, you notice this stuff? You mention it to me immediately, and I will work on figuring out how to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're right. There's too many times that you don't realize it until you're way down that path, and you're like, oh, man,
Exactly. And the farther down you are, the harder it is to get balance back.
Right.
It just is, because you try to adjust and it's so sensitive.
Yeah.
So if you try to adjust it, and then you'll swing back way too far the other way. And
right.
Yeah, you kind of have to slowly work yourself more towards the middle.
Yeah. Well, and especially in like a situation like yours where, either way too far with the pendulum can be a real problem for you. Oh,
yeah.
And so, like you said, if you overcorrect, you could essentially be pushing it one way to where then you're going to get that big swing back the other way. And, it's, so yeah, it's no fun. I don't envy anyone dealing with any of this stuff, so.
Oh yeah, no, I don't either. Man, I have so much compassion and sympathy for people who are going through mental health struggles.
Yeah. Because
it's just so hard. And people that love you want to understand and they can't. So it makes it all that much harder, because then they get frustrated. And then you get frustrated. And it's just this vicious cycle.
Right.
I cannot talk.
A vicious cycle. Yep.
A vicious cycle. It's like, geez.
Yep.
So, anyways, I guess another soapbox.
Yeah.
We keep jumping on those soapboxes tonight, don't we?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So, what is our topic for today, sir?
I found this on happify.com, and it's called like how to have a good day after a bad night of sleep. And it's just got a few talking points here that I thought I'd just kind of go over, for anybody who, might be interested. The first one is...
Oh, before you start.
Yeah.
I'm going to call some of these tips.
Okay.
1, drink 2 pots of coffee.
No, oddly enough, that is not one of them.
Okay. Red Bull?
No.
You're frozen.
Yeah, I know. I noticed it was freezing there for a second. Is it better now?
A little bit. You're laggy.
All right. That figures. Damn internets.
Oh, you're coming back.
Okay.
You're still laggy, but you're coming back.
Okay. The first one is stick to your full schedule. It says at work or school, don't call in sick or cancel appointments. Stick to the same schedule you planned when you thought you would sleep well. Not only will this keep you busy so you don't think about how tired you are, but you get an additional benefit too. The next time you're in bed and can't sleep, you won't have to worry about how you'll cope the next day. You'll know you can handle it.
Oh, that's not a bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have reworded the benefits a little bit, because honestly, what I find is if I have trouble sleeping, there's usually something behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I'm like obsessing on something, or I'm, overthinking, or I'm too hot or something. So if I just try to sit in bed or just lay around and try to get more sleep, I still continue obsessing about the same thing that I was obsessing about that made me not be able to sleep. So I'm like,
well, this gives you the visualization that you can do it though. So you at least, that's the point of it, is that so you can really try to focus on that.
I just think it's going to make you super, super tired.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to really reflect and just pass out.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, is usually that's my thing, is it's like I'll just get up, try to have my normal day, and I'll end up a lot of times in bed earlier that night because I'll just, like 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I'll be like, I'm exhausted, and I'll go lay down and I'll be out, So that's why I've always just kind of done that, is get up and do kind of what I can do and then just crash basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, the next one is spend time with high energy people. It says when it comes to other people, you might be tempted to lay low and avoid people as much as possible. Instead, find people who make you feel awake and alive and spend some time with them. If you go out for dinner or to a party, talk to people. If you are more introverted, find just one friend or family member who you enjoy spending time with. It's very important both to be around people and to fully engage. This will help reduce irritability and improve your mood too.
I would say I disagree with the author on this one.
Yeah.
At least a little bit. Like, yes, you shouldn't retreat to a small little corner and hide.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I wouldn't recommend, if you're lacking in sleep, hanging out with a bunch of people that are high energy, or taking part in anything that you might slip and say something or do something that you normally wouldn't do.
I think they worded that badly, because I don't think they actually mean high energy people. I think they mean people who you like being around, because I think the important part of what they're talking about is the engaging part. Because when you're really tired, if you're around people, you can still be cranky and all that. But if you're engaging and being part of a conversation with somebody, you don't tend to seem as cranky. You fit in better like that. I think that's more of what how they should have worded this one. This one, because the high energy people, because, if I'm tired, I don't want to be around somebody who's bouncing off the walls. I
don't even want to be having deep conversations or even meaningful conversations, because when I don't get sleep, I can be pretty irritable and people can get on my nerves very easily. And the last thing I would ever want to do is not feeling it and try to force a conversation with a good person or a person I really care for and say something I shouldn't.
Yeah. That's why I think, like I said, I think they mean more just find somebody you enjoy being around and talk with them, because you're more likely to talk with somebody you like than random coworker you don't care for, or just tolerate. But if you, after work, if you have a friend or something, or not even after work, but during work, if you have a good work friend, that you can kind of BS with for a little bit, it might kind of energize you a little bit. I get what they're saying. Like I said, the wording on it is really bad, because the high energy people, I think it should be more spend time with people who give you energy, essentially. People who you feed off of, not people who are high energy necessarily. But the next one is trust your body and calm your mind. During the day, don't waste your time thinking about how you're going to catch up on sleep later. Remember that your body can adjust to help you sleep more deeply. Going to bed early or taking naps will just make your sleep pressure line up wrong with your internal clock and make things worse in the long run. Instead, keep to your normal schedule. Trust your body to get the sleep it needs. Along the same lines, don't waste your time checking the clock and calculating how much sleep you got last night. It doesn't matter. It will only make you feel nervous, worried, or irritated. And that's way harder for people now because everybody pretty much sleeps with their phone right next to their bed,
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've all probably pulled well, if I fall asleep right now, I can still get 6 hours and 14 minutes of sleep,
Right.
So.
Yeah, I know. And I agree with them on this one for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I've slowly, and it's been over a long, long, long course of time, that I finally gotten to the point where I'm okay with my body getting the sleep it needs when it needs it.
Yeah.
And I also believe very fully in the going to sleep early does nothing more than make you wake up earlier.
Yeah.
And then you're in a really bad cycle. So
yeah.
That does not necessarily solve the problem.
Right.
And your body will adjust and your body will come along.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of it's relinquishing the control.
Yeah.
Because we think we can plan our bodies. We think we can control our bodies. And we're like, I'm going to bed at this time and I'm getting 8 hours of sleep or else.
Yeah.
Now, body, I'm laying down. Do your thing.
Yeah.
And it's just, we can't strong arm our bodies like that very often. It just doesn't work.
I've listened to a few podcasts with sleep experts on them, and I've read different stuff. And it's interesting how I've read that basically you can't really catch up on sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Like if your body requires 8 hours and you only got 6, you can't go, well, I'm going to go to bed 2 hours early tonight, and that puts me back at 0.
Mm-hmm.
Not -2, and it doesn't really work like that. But a more recent one I listened to, the guy actually said that basically across the day, it's more important to try to get 8 hours total and not worry about how many you get at a time. Like if you get 2 here,
mm-hmm.
but your body needs, because our sleep cycle runs at about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Is the pretty much the full cycle. And like me, unfortunately, when I get to the end of the cycle, I tend to go all the way to wake up. And
mm-hmm.
then I have to try to fall back asleep. And sometimes that's where things become problematic for me. I wish there was something that could keep me, like I could put a ceiling on me to where, for a few hours that it wouldn't let me go all the way to wake up, so I could get 4
mm-hmm.
or 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep basically, but that isn't how it works. So without heavy drugs or something, and I'm not bothering with that. But all the one guy, I can't remember what the name of it is. There's a book that I started reading. I need to finish it. That was about sleep. And
mm-hmm.
he, he's pointing out that the most important thing you can do for self-care is get good sleep. Even if it's only 4 hours, you want to get 8 because the closer to 8 that you get, the better it is for your body. But 4 good hours is better than 6 bad hours, so
mm-hmm.
putting yourself in a position to fall asleep easier, turning off TV and not having your phone on an hour or two before bed. And if you're going to read an actual book or on like a Nook or a Kindle where they're geared differently than like an iPad or your phone, stuff like that. There's all sorts of tips out there that everybody can go find for better ways to help you teach your body it's time to sleep. Like don't sit in your bed and watch TV basically. When you go
mm-hmm.
into your bedroom, that's sleep. So your brain goes, oh, it's sleep time when you get into bed, So, yeah. But it is true that the other stuff, like just worrying about the hours and calculating. My brother does this now. If he goes to bed at midnight and wakes up at 6, he will obsess over the fact that he didn't get his 8 hours. And he gets cranky and mad because he didn't get his 8 hours. I don't think it's because he didn't get enough sleep. I think it's because of the anxiety and the control, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like he won't just let go and go, oh, well. And then just
mm-hmm.
try to put yourself in a position to get good sleep the next night type of a thing. Rather than worry and ruin your whole day because you didn't get 8 hours,
Mm-hmm.
And listen, we all know when we didn't get enough sleep. You wake up and you're going through the day and, you're dragging your hind parts on the floor. Like we all do it.
Yeah.
Or like me, a lot of times I'm foggy brained if I don't get enough sleep, and it's frustrating, I get it, but it's like with him, it's more of a, just let it go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it ruin your whole day because you didn't get what you wanted. you woke up, so clearly at some point, I mean, your body essentially got what it needed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway. The last one on here, contrary to what Jen said earlier, was don't order the venti at Starbucks. Stick to natural methods for increasing energy. It's okay to have a cup of coffee when you're tired, but it's best to avoid caffeine pills, energy drinks, or giant cups of coffee. Well, it doesn't say anything about 2 pots, so I guess that's okay. No, I'm kidding.
Not cups.
Yeah, I'm kidding, of course. These methods tend to work over short periods, but then you crash or get side effects you wish you didn't have. You can get some of the benefits from sunlight, talking to friends, or getting some exercise, even just standing or walking. These aren't always as powerful over the short term, but will set you up for much more success over a couple of weeks. You know, and it makes sense. When you really look at the benefits of caffeine, caffeine's really meant to kind of give you a jump start. Caffeine is not a long-term solution. You know, it's really to kind of, it's a kick in the butt. It's not a consistent push. And when you treat it as a consistent push, you're going to have bad crashes from it because you're going to way over caffeinate, and then you have significant drop-offs that actually make it worse on you than if you just didn't have any, typically. So, you know, it's like they said, a cup of coffee or a little something to maybe kick you in the pants to get you going in the morning, sure. But don't be drinking like, oh, I just got to keep drinking coffee all day or I can't get through the day. It's like, yeah, because you don't think you can. You know, like the people you see pounding energy drinks all day, and it's like that is not what they're meant for. Our bodies are not meant for that.
Yeah, no. Do you remember the air bars in 2000?
Yeah.
I think is when they were really popular.
Yeah.
They would actually, and there may still be some around, I'm not sure, probably California, but they would actually have these bars that you can walk up to, and they have different scented air, and it's just
oxygen.
like oxygen.
Yeah.
And you would go and you put it to your nose and you just sniff.
Right.
And you would get shots of oxygen. I bring this up because what wakes you up better than most caffeine is oxygen.
Yeah.
Which, if you do deep breathing exercises, it'll help you start to wake up and be more alert. Also, wiggling your toes.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Increases the blood flow to your brain, which increases the oxygen to your brain, which helps wake you up. And if you have a sluggish brain, it'll help sharpen your senses.
Yep.
So.
That's why, like it said on here, a little bit of exercise, like even just standing and walking can do it. Cause you're right. Those are things that wake your body up the way it's supposed to be, woken, not, it's similar to like an alarm clock. You notice like a lot of these apps now that do the wake ups, they're very subtle and they gradually get louder to wake you up versus just bwah, bwah, and scare the hell out of you, and
yes,
because you're not supposed to start your day full of adrenaline like that. That's not good for you.
Right.
Like you shouldn't be in fight or flight as soon as you wake up. Like.
I do not think there's any coincidence that when you're tired, you start to yawn.
Yeah.
Because what is yawning? Yawning is deep breathing, folks.
Yep.
So it's your body saying, I'm calming down. I need oxygen.
Did I tell you?
And when you wake up.
I don't remember if it was on a podcast or if it was something I read where there was somebody, and I don't know if this is true or not.
Yeah.
This is just something that I heard. But that they had a theory that yawning was the reason we yawn when we're tired is because in order to go to sleep, your body needs to lower its temperature, right? And that our brains and our head are at a certain heat level, and yawning brings in more oxygen, which cools your brain, which then allows you to go to sleep. And I don't know if that's...
I've heard that, but that's interesting.
Right? It sounds very plausible. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. It could be a whole bunch of bunk.
Right.
I don't know. But when I heard it, I was like, that actually sounds plausible. That's a decent posit, if nothing else,
Well, the one I was going for is that as your body is slowing down, it's trying to, and you're fighting it instead of, relaxing and going to bed, and you start fighting it. well, you start yawning because your body doesn't quite have the energy to keep moving. So it's taking in more oxygen, going, okay, fine. If I got to stay away, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, give me some more.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can push it.
Right.
That type of thing. But definitely, if you start yawning, do not push through that. Listen to your body.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because, like, for me, it can also mean that I've got a migraine on deck. Because I didn't know until within the last year that excessive yawning can be a precursor to migraine. And it makes a ton of sense because, from knowing me as long as you have, there's times where it could be 5 p.m. or, night, whatever. And I'm yawning like crazy. I'm like, God, why am I yawning? Like, I'm not tired. And now when I think about it, I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because there has been a lot of times where I've had that and then gotten a really bad migraine. So, for me, it can also be a warning sign of, like danger.
Right. I would definitely recommend, though, if you start yawning quite a few times in a row and you don't think it's tired, start doing some box breathing and see if you still continue to yawn.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know. Yeah,
to where maybe pulling more oxygen in slows it down. I don't know. That's the interesting part is because from the last I knew of, the scientists don't 100% know what causes yawning. They don't 100% know what the reason we
purpose
yawn
of it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, it's interesting to find or to look at different things because you just never know, what could be. Dang it. I can't remember the name of that book now. I was trying to find the book that I was talking about that I was reading on sleeping. I was trying to go to my Amazon book wish list, which I've got hundreds of books on. So it's not just as easy as, I'll just scroll down and find it,
Yeah. Well, while you're finding that, I will mention one other sleep, technique. I don't know. But one other tip for getting a good night's sleep, it's something I've been actually doing more and more research on and reading on, which is the power of touch. Because if you think about it, so often when we were babies, when we're put to bed, we have, someone's holding our hand, someone's rocking us, having that type of touch can honestly make a huge difference. We as a society have really gone away from touching. We're hugging more than we have in the recent past, but we don't touch enough. So if you have a partner and you guys have a routine both going to bed and sleeping at other sides of the bed, might I suggest a 5-minute cuddle time at middle of the bed ground before rolling to either side going to sleep. Because having just that touch can really help calm your senses.
Yeah, and that totally makes sense because, like I've told you, it's like since being by myself more, I miss that. Like it isn't even, like I've said, it's not like sexual. It's in the middle of the night when someone puts their hand on your side or on your back or so. It's like you just that comfort of. My mom told me that when I was a baby, and see this holds, right? My mom said that when I would get really fussy, she would just kind of put her hand on my chest and, tell me it's okay. And she said I would usually calm right down. And so, it makes sense that, like I was just saying, that even just getting, someone to touch, put their hand on my back or something like that in the middle of the night is enough to calm me down,
And you can also do it to yourself. It's not quite as effective as another person's energy, but you can lighten your energy when you're trying to relax just by doing simple touching exercises.
Right.
Running your finger down your skin, wherever you feel comfortable, or make swirling patterns, or just lightly, softly just touch on your arms and touch on yourself. And it'll get your body flowing and your energy flowing in the right direction, so that when you will get more comfortable and you will be able to relax more, and hopefully you'll be able to sleep better.
Right. Dang it. I cannot find the name of that book now. Dang. It's going to really bug me now. But yes, I know what you're saying. And I agree. You're right. It doesn't feel the same, but it can meet some of that kind of stuff.
And if you're really, really struggling and you're looking for any option possible, get a heart bear. They actually have these bears that have a heartbeat in them, and they're used to help soothe infants, puppies, and they sometimes you can put a warming bag in them, and they just that soothing heartbeat sound along with the warmth. Yes, you can get discs and tapes and stuff of soothing music, and those I'm sure are great too and they'll help, but it's just something different about just having something next to you that's warm, that sounds like a beating heart. It just can help lower your blood pressure. It just does.
Yeah, I know they recommend
for creatures.
I've seen those recommended, more so for little, like for babies and stuff, but I could see where pretty much anybody could benefit from that, especially if you're feeling lonely or whatever, because really, it's like, I think we talked on here a while ago, like, there's people out there now that are really studying the effects of loneliness on people and how awful the effects of it are, that it can be really bad for people, so anything that can kind of help you feel a little less lonely, whether, it's a stuffed animal or whatever it is, or, just being able to get some of that contact. That's why, the people that do like the professional cuddling and stuff, it's like, it sounds weird on paper, but it makes so much sense that it's just nice to, kind of feel comforted like that. 'Cause like you said, we start our life with that. And eventually, if you're a person, you end up in relationships and you have that. So then at a certain point, it's like, well, I'm not in a relationship, a person's not in a relationship. So then they're like, oh, well, I don't get this anymore. And that's horrible. That's, we all deserve it. But, you can't just walk up to people and get that, you kind of, you also, rubbing against them like so you need some sort of a consent. So that's where like the cuddling comes in is, at least then you, okay, you get the consent in those groups or whatever, but, yeah. Dang it.
So just feel free to kind of explore with things and see what happens. I mean, I've got a princess bed, for gosh sakes.
Yeah.
And I say it's a princess bed because it is, I would say 4 to 4.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I'm not joking, folks.
No, she's not. I mean, I haven't seen it in person, but you showed me on video yesterday, and where it comes up to on you.
It comes up to just above my hip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me to get on it, it's like me trying to get on a horse. So I have to literally like half climb, half kind of throw my body over the bed to kind of get into it.
Yeah.
But that is the most comfortable bed I've ever slept on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It should be. I mean, shoot. Now, the mattress and box springs are not super expensive, folks. And I got a 6-inch topper from the local Big Lots. So it's not all that much expensive to put it together. But the combination of all of them stacked up on a 6-inch frame, super high up. But super, super, super comfortable.
Yeah. Which is all that's important,
Yes, as long as I don't fall out of bed.
Right.
Because that will hurt.
Yeah. Okay, I think I might have found the book. Because I was looking because I was like, you know what? It clicked in my head. I first heard about it on an episode of Hidden Brain podcast.
Okay.
And the episode of that is called Eyes Wide Open, which it actually, I believe, kind of focuses on something else, but he talks with a guy named Matthew Walker, who's a neuroscientist, and he has a book called Why We Sleep. I'll have the links in the show notes for both of those things if anyone wants to check them out. And that's weird. I could have swore it was in my Amazon list, but I didn't see it in there, unless I bought the book and don't remember buying it, to where I would have removed it from the list, you know?
Yes.
That's very possible. That does sound like something I would do. So, but anyway, yeah, some of the stuff the guy talks about really, really fascinating. About why we need the sleep we do, what that sleep does with our brain, all that kind of stuff. So if you're kind of a nerd about stuff like that, like I am, then you'll really dig the book from what I remember. Like I said, I haven't finished it, but I've read probably about half or 3/4 of it. I don't know. Now the problem is I can't remember where I was reading it. So maybe I bought it on Kindle. I'll have to look because I don't remember, but it's like, I know I've read some of it. So anyway, yeah, I'll have that in the show notes.
Awesome. Well, I think we're good for the night.
Yeah, I think so too.
Awesome. All right, folks. So, covered a lot of topics tonight. We said a lot of interesting things, and I am sure you have a ton of opinions, comments, and constructive criticisms for us. So we would love to hear from you. If you want to reach out to us, you know what to do. You can go to thecrazylife.weebly.com. And that is our website. You can go to thecrazylife@outlook.com, our email address. If you would like to contact me direct, feel free to reach out to me via Facebook Messenger, through our Facebook site, or shoot me an email. Just address it to Jen. Brian and Henno have promised to not look at anything directly to me. So if you want to share secrets about them, that's fine. You can go right ahead. Or, email me directly through the website or through the email or,
Yeah.
And Brian, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Stunami. You can find my other podcast, Salty Language, at salty_language on Twitter, or at saltylanguage.com. If you want to listen to that. That show's not safe for work, so please be careful where you listen to it. This past week, we talked about the Sandman TV show, although very briefly because I've watched most of it and Tony's watched almost none of it. We talked about HBO Max and how they're looking to potentially cancel a bunch of shows. Fancy Feast, the cat food, is doing a pop-up for humans. They're bringing back the HeroScape game and just some other stuff we talked about. So if any of that seems like something you'd be interested in, please check us out. You can find Henno on Twitter at Ida Henno or on Facebook at Henno Heiter. His other podcast can be found at MTN Pod on Twitter, and it's called Moving the Needle, where most of the time now they've been talking mostly about movies and such, and I don't remember what their new episode is off the top of my head, but go check them out. What else was I looking for here? Oh, we're part of the Tangent Bound Network, which can be found at tangentboundnetwork.com. And we're on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/crazylifepodcast. So go check that out if you want to. And, as always, if you need help, please reach out. And please reach out to your friends and check on them, make sure everybody's doing okay if you can. And of course, let's please be kind to people. When you're out, doing whatever it is, please help if you can. And just put good energy out into the world.
Absolutely. This world's cold enough. Hug your loved ones. Hug anybody who lets you hug them. Always ask permission.
Right.
We're getting away from touching and connecting with each other, and it's going to be a very, very scary existence if we do.
Yep.
So, just go out there and connect with people physically if possible, socially, emotionally, mentally. Just connect.
Yep.
Learn about people. Let's get ourselves back into a society and not just a bunch of people coexisting. So, with that, you guys go out there and have an absolute fabulous week. We will be back here as soon as we can. Until then, wiggle those toes.